Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Luna Natsuwa's pale and frail body was bathed in a sterile glow as the hospital lights hummed softly above the intensive care unit. Every sound in the room seemed to be a countdown to the inevitable, even if the machines beeped continuously. Her hands were shaking and her heart was racing as Dr. John Finnegan stood inches from her bedside. Every instant that went by, every brief heartbeat of the young woman he had grown to love, not just as a patient but as family, made his breath catch. Luna's voice was hardly audible beyond a whisper, and her eyelashes fluttered open feebly. She gestured for him to approach, her lips quivering. With tears already on the verge of spilling, Finn bent down and took her icy hand in both of his. "Finn, I have something to share with you," Luna said in a whisper, her voice as delicate as gossamer before it's too late. "Don't say that, please." Finn's voice broke as he uttered, "Luna, you're going to survive this. The physicians are taking care of everything. You're powerful and young. Don't speak that way." However, Luna shook her head feebly, a melancholy smile raising the corners of her mouth. "All right, let me speak. Something is important for you to know about me." "Concerning you? Concerning?" Finn stopped. A chill went down his spine when he heard those words. "About us." Time itself seemed to pause as he bent down and met her gaze. The world shrank to just two individuals, one on the verge of death and the other clutching frantically to hope. As the beeping monitors vanished into the distance with a little flinch as the anguish shot through her, Luna murmured softly, "I didn't mean to keep it from you. I wanted to tell you repeatedly. I feared what it would do to you and to everyone else." Finn's thoughts were racing. "Luna, what are you saying?" "I am your sister." He felt the words hit him like a clap of thunder. He exhaled the air. The ground underneath him seemed to be tilting and the monitor's pulse grew louder. "What?" "No, that isn't feasible," she said. "She," said Poppy, with a gentle squeeze of his fingers. Luna muttered. Poppy lied. It wasn't until recently that she was certain she discovered something. A letter from Sheila. That name almost stopped Finn's heart. "Sheila," Luna responded, her voice waning. "Yes, it was composed before to Sheila's previous arrest. It stated that she had a child, but kept it a secret. A female. To protect her, she handed her up. I was that girl." Finn lowered his hands to his knees. No, that isn't possible. That would imply." He gazed into Luna's eyes with shock and astonishment. "You're my sister. You have a mother named Sheila." With tears now running down her cheeks, Luna nodded. "I apologize. I didn't want to have a monster for a child. That wasn't what I wanted to be my reality. I desired to be typical. I wanted it to be forgotten. However, I was unable to. You were entitled to know." Finn got to his feet and stumbled back, hardly able to stay upright. He stifled a sob and ran a hand over his hair. The space was whirling. His entire universe was falling apart at the speed of light, including his identity, his family, and his comprehension of everything. He repeated more to himself than to her. "You're my sister," Luna replied. "I apologize for not telling you sooner." In a whisper that was carried on the last of her power. "I didn't want to die with this between us. Therefore, I wanted to tell you. I wanted you to know that hurting you was never my intention. You were my cousin, and I adored you. I loved you as my brother back then. Always." Finn clutched her hand to his chest and collapsed to his knees. Alongside the bed. Luna, you will not perish. You can't. We recently discovered this. We require time. I need time to comprehend. You must have time to live. Luna remarked, her eyes starting to droop. Finn, I'm so tired. But knowing you'll forgive me, knowing you know the truth. No, don't close your eyes, Luna. Remain with me. Finn yelled. The monitor spiked. Nurses came running in. A physician yelled commands. Finn, however, was unable to hear them. Now his whole body was trembling with tears. As the beeping stopped, he was plagued by a vision of Luna's serene face and her final grin. She had left, and Finn's spirit was broken by the truth, the secret she held. Finn spent hours sitting in the hospital chapel by himself in solitude, with his hands over his face and his mind racing with pain. Sheila, Luna, family, falsehoods, I'm sorry. He recalled everything that had happened since Luna had come to Los Angeles. Each time he disregarded her bewilderment, her weeping eyes, and her peculiar actions. He hadn't noticed it. Despite her repeated attempts to tell him, he hadn't paid attention. He had thought she was simply another lost girl, inched in the turmoil around Forrester. However, she was attempting to be honest with her brother. He would also never be able to say, I forgive you. In the empty room, Finn muttered, I failed her. I let my sister down. There was a squeak in the door. Steffi was the one. Unsure whether to interrupt, she stood silently. However, she approached him and knelt next to him, putting her arms around him firmly as Finn gazed up. I apologized so much, Finn. I overheard. She was Steffi, my sister. My sister. And I was completely unaware. Just before she passed away, she told me her mother was Sheila, and Poppy kept it all hidden. Steffi's eyes became wide with surprise. Oh my God. Finn gave a slow nod. I am everything that I detested about Sheila. She had it too. Furthermore, we were not even given the opportunity to process it until she took her last breath. She bore that weight by herself. Steffi wiped tears from his cheek and muttered, Finn, you're not Sheila. Furthermore, Luna wasn't her. She was nice, courageous. She also cherished you. You brought her comfort in her last moments. That is important. Finn's voice cracked as he replied. But you, the one who was observing her? You trailed behind her. You ensured she didn't survive long enough to say, I never told her I loved her back. I can't say that I forgive her. Something changed inside Finn from that moment on. He grew fixated on atonement rather than retribution. At Luna's funeral, under the tearful sky, next to her lily-decked white coffin, he vowed to pay tribute to her memory, to learn the truth about her life, and to ensure that no more secrets would ever tear their family apart. However, he noticed a figure standing in the distance as he turned to leave the cemetery. A female wearing a black outfit, observing from the dark. Carter. Sheila, she was still living. Finn's blood froze as well. The nightmare had only barely begun. Luna's passing was no longer merely a tragedy. It was a covert murder that was just waiting to be solved. As Finn stood motionless, staring at the far-off black-clad figure, the cemetery's atmosphere grew colder. Carter, Sheila, his mom, the monster he had tried to avoid all his life. He had vowed never to forgive the woman. The woman who remained silent as she watched him bury his sister, her daughter. Sheila remained still. Her face was unreadable as she stood like a ghost beneath a cypress tree, but her eyes shone with a sadness Finn couldn't understand. He walked toward her, One step, then another. Steffi, who had lingered a moment more to place a white rose on the grave, looked up and followed his eyes. Seeing the figure in the darkness, she muttered, "Finn." Her heart ceased beating. "Is that she's still alive?" Finn whispered, "She is." Present. Turning, Sheila disappeared beyond the trees. "Hold on," Finn shouted, and started running. Sheila, as Finn pursued the woman along the cemetery's forested edge, Steffi screamed after him, but the wind muffled her voice. His heart beat faster than his feet, yet his dress shoes slipped on the wet ground. Anger and adrenaline surged through him. His mind was screaming with questions. Did you kill Luna? Were you able to influence her? Were you aware that she was yours all along? At last he came to a clearing, but she was gone. There was only quiet. Finn gasped, his entire body tightened as he looked around the trees. "Sheila," he had yelled, "come on over and look at me. Don't flee from this." But there was no response. Once more, she was a ghost. He went back to the cemetery where Steffi was waiting with her face white and her arms crossed tightly. "She's back," stated Finn, somberly, alive, observing her daughter's burial. A hand shot to Steffi's mouth. "What the devil does that mean, Finn?" "It indicates that everything we believe to be true is incorrect." In the darkness, the sound of waves crashing beneath the cliff reverberated uncannily. Even though Finn hadn't requested it, Steffi poured him a drink of whiskey. His mind was still spinning as he sat by the fire and gazed at the flames. He stated bluntly, "Luna's gone. And now Sheila's back." Beside him sat Steffi. "You don't believe she was at fault, do you?" Finn paused. "I'm not sure. But for all these years she kept that a secret. Why did she give up Luna? If she knew she was her daughter? Why now, too? Why return now after Luna's passing?" Steffi squinted her eyes. Perhaps Luna discovered it too late. Perhaps she went to the hospital because she confronted Sheila. Perhaps Sheila staged it as an accident. Finn's jaw tightened. Sheila always hides her identity. However, I promise that I will hold her accountable if she is to blame for Luna's passing. A knock on the door was heard. Steffi's heart jumped as she flinched. Finn stood up and said, "I'll get it." Slowly, he opened the door. Poppy Natsuwa was standing there, with her arms coiled about her head, her eyes puffy from crying. She appeared to have gone days without sleep. "May I enter?" she inquired. Finn gave a nod. "You need to explain yourself. The truth is revealed inside." Poppy took a seat with trembling hands. Her voice was harsh as she started. "I've been a coward. I ought to have been honest with you a long time ago." Finn looked down at her while folding his arms. "Why didn't you? Why would you let Luna too pass away knowing that secret?" "Because it wasn't until a month ago that I was certain." Poppy sobbed. "Years ago, Sheila left me a letter. I mistook it for a joke. I believed she was merely attempting to control me. She claimed to have a child mine out there. That Luna was the one. She claimed that because she couldn't handle being a mother. She had taken Luna after she was born and given her back to me to raise as her own. I didn't think she was real. I was unable to. However, I retrieved the old letter once more once Luna began to inquire, and after she developed an obsession with her history. I compared Luna's DNA to both yours and mine. You were matched by her, Sheila, too. That's when I realized," Finn responded slowly. "So Luna was your biological niece, not Your daughter. Poppy gave a sorrowful
nod.
I brought her up as if she were my
Own.
I cherished her as though she were my own. The reality, however, was more complex than either of us could manage. Finn had the sensation that his chest was giving way.
Who was her father then? I'm not sure, Poppy said.
Sheila didn't say anything. All that was said in the letter was that Luna and Sheila were related to you. I thought perhaps it was
Jack.
She may have manipulated someone
Else.
Finn closed his eyes.
Sheila and
Jack Finnegan, his adoptive father, had a troubled past. This just increased the likelihood.
So you just stood by and
let Luna suffer. He lost his temper. Knowing the blood that pumped through her veins, you allowed her to carry this burden around and said nothing.
Poppy sobbed as she said,
I was scared.
I
feared she would despise me. I was afraid you would despise me. I was going
to tell her though.
I promise.
Simply
put, I was out of time. Overcome with emotion, Finn turned aside and ran a hand through his hair. Sheila's actions will never be forgiven by me, Poppy replied in a shaky voice.
She's back, Finn.
I also saw her.
She has been
pursuing me, observing. I believe she is aware that Luna discovered the truth. Luna ended up in that hospital for that reason. Finn's eyes grew gloomy. Then we must defeat her for good this time.